In the last episode, we discussed about the most painful practice of partial integration of various indirect taxes for the purpose of claiming input credit. In today's episode, we will hear more about yet another reality of unexpired incentive exemptions granted to the industry in the form of area-based excise exemption or subsidy by state governments.
Is it going to be
I'll tell you
like
that Mr. Sridhar has raised so many issues, one by one. Your first issue was that about the, what was the point? First issue was
the integration of the contract packing
with
regard to services.
Before that, one of the, you had mentioned another point. Before the integration,
I think I started with the contract packing only. I think I started.
No.
The credit part, so the exemption.
The exemption, of course, you see, on exemptions, the center and the states officials, they're in the part of the joint working group, they're going to prune the number of exemptions. Finally, the total exemptions would be there will be a common list of exemptions and it will be minimum.
The question is not about exemptions, but incentives given by area-based exemptions.
Area-based exemptions also, where already commitment is there, till that time that commitment has to be followed. But whether this will be, how we will do it, there is one suggestion that there may be a refund-based scheme, that you pay and then you get the refund. Till the time, but no new exemption will come area-based, but that will be done. That is one idea.
These incentives are manufacturing-based. The tax on manufacturing is going to go away.
No, but then they will be supplying, na? So it will be imposed on the supply.
So
till
are
then.
You going to say that
they will pay the tax and there will be a scheme of refund? That is one suggestion has come up.
So you're talking about the scheme which is prevailing
the
in
area-based, Northeast, Himachal, Uttarakhand.
Right.
Now they have all
manufacturing incentives will become supply incentives.
Supply, always supply. So supply whatever, they'll pay and then refund. I mean, this is being thought of. This is one.
This is one
exemptions,
unresolved issue.
Yes. But then these are being taken care of. They're being thinking.
Being debated now.
So and the exemptions, I told you, they're trying to make it.
Refunds would not be possible because a lot of times they would be inbuilt into the cost and passed on.
No, so I say this is one of the suggestions it has come. So they will be examined. But this issue is flagged. This is one. The other one is the contract that you mentioned. That is also flagged. They are looking into it, but I understand. Okay. I'm not part of the government, so I'm just saying. With that caveat, I'm just saying.
Right, sir.
So definitely, but it brings me to the point which both Mr. Sridhar and Bipin had said, that there has to be a mechanism where the trade in industry will say that now you're bringing GST and say these are I want to flag my issues. That these are the issues you please take into consideration, and this is our views. I will not only flag. They will also have to say that these are our views. Have it and clarify it so that after GST is implemented, I do not have to go from door to door to seeking a clarification. Because after all these days that we have been, when I was in the government and even outside the government, we have been saying that GST will bring you a system of taxation where the taxpayer and taxman will not meet unless there is an issue. Because everything is to be technology based. You file your application for registration, it gets registered. You don't meet the officer. You file your payment duty, how it gets broken down to different states, system takes care.
Can I stop you here, sir? Because there are a lot of incentives today where interactions are happening, and apart from area-based, there are SEZ exemptions, incentives which would again need to be debated, how the states would walk into those incentives.
And to supplement you state industrial subsidies.
But refunds on export of goods and services, it's a huge concern area today, which center alone is not able to give those refunds because of sheer administrative issues involved. How the industry is so worried, at least the IT/ITES industry, which is exporting hugely from India, whether they will have to go to multiple states to ask for those refunds, whether the center will give those refunds, there are issues.
Some clarity is required.
These are the issues. These are the issues which have to, and that's why it is important to have a mechanism.
And
this then puts up the question, I think, which we should debate on, is that today there is a 12% tax which is causing so much of concern. What would be the rate we are looking at going forward?
Yeah, here I'll tell you one. Again, my personal view.
Yeah.
Now, I saw a news item about 1.5 months back that 27% would be the new GST rate.
Suggested
Revenue neutral rate, not the new
NIP.
GST.
Not revenue neutral rate, 27%. I think, I don't know, because first of all, that one report was made by professor in NIPFP. That report was based on data on 2010-11. So she was asked to do it again with the updated data. And I don't know whether on the basis of updated data they have come to 27%.
No, they
but
might
then
have to
again,
do it again, sir,
no, but then another point. See, you can't decide RNR unless you first decide about the threshold, unless you decide about the exemption, number of exemptions, because these will decide what will be your tax base. Wider the tax base, lower will be the RNR. If it is in the X axis, it is in the Y axis. So if the tax base is small, if you have, say, very high threshold, then naturally your tax base will be lower, and then the RNR will go up.
So given the complexities of the law which is going to come in, we can never calculate a correct RNR.
Correct RNR, absolutely. But you get an idea.
The decision to whatever, so 27% what has been calculated. Nobody is convinced on that.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, I also feel it is absolutely a non-starter.
Right.
Because let me tell you that internationally, the VAT rate differs from country to country from 16% to 20% by and large. Right. Exceptions are there. I know about Germany. Yeah, Germany it is 23%, but that's because they have lot of spending on
Singapore
the
has
social.
lesser, sir.
Sorry?
Yeah. Singapore has lesser, much lesser.
Much lesser. I don't want to compare Singapore with India. We're a country with so much of diversity. I don't want to compare.
Why can't we have a rate like only one rate at 12%?
No, we cannot. Again, we are not going for the ideal GST, which our finance minister, Dr. Mr.
There's
Jaitley.
a lot of talk going about our finance minister is really making an effort towards
No, but he has made it very clear in his post-budget last time that we are not going for an ideal GST to start with. We are going for a good GST. Here again, he said that we are good GST.
Yeah. So Sumit, I think you should also talk about this point which I was talking about is the role of Finance Commission, which I forget.
That's my point. The Finance Commission will not have its role curtailed or so. Now, exactly, on the issue of compensation, when the states insisted that it should be in the constitution amendment, Centre didn't agree. The idea was that, you see, GST is a joint venture between Centre and states. It's a partnership. You don't start a partnership with the premise that there will be loss. And if there is a loss, I will compensate you. Then there is another angle to it. Right. That if, suppose we are two partners, and you are saying that you will compensate me. If you are saying so, I will lose the incentive to be having an efficient tax system. Even if I have loss, Mr. Sridhar will compensate me. So that danger is also there. But again, you have to take the states on board. So what the Centre had said at the time, we have an institution like Finance Commission who do the apportionment of revenue and all between the Centre and the states and amongst the states. So we can leave this job to Finance Commission. They will find a mechanism how it will be done. But here comes which we have not yet touched. Here comes the question of trust deficit between Centre and states. Right. And it all originated from the point of non-payment of CST, which our finance minister touched in the bite that you showed. Yes. Now, what had happened when Mr. Chidambaram Sahab announced in 2006, and correctly, he said that when GST comes, because he set a target of 1st April 2010, that when GST comes, then you will not be having your CST. Then suddenly you may feel a shock that your origin-based tax has gone. And your IGST, that time itself you could envisage that because everywhere GST is a destination-based tax. So it will go to some other state. So why not taper off your CST? Right. By the time the GST comes, it will be tapered off and IGST will smoothly take over. So with that, states went by that, I must say, and they brought it down to 3%, then 2%. And it was promised that compensation would be made. But somehow, I think, somewhere, Centre did not keep that promise. So that amount kept on pending. And that's why on that 45 days budget speech, Mr. Jaitley said very clearly that I will make all the payments in next 2 years, all were pending there. So to reduce the trust deficit. But that trust deficit, because of existing trust deficit, they said that this compensation which you are talking about, that you are bringing GST, you bring in GST BA on board, and then we'll pay you for the compensation if any, you put it in the constitution. That was because of trust deficit. But now they will come to, I think, come around. Again, the point which I made earlier, I would think that there will be no need for any compensation within a year or so. The efficient taxation system is such that
brings us to the larger question, sir, that ideally what should be the threshold limits?
If you really look at the number of dealers who are on the compensation side at the states, I mean, from an industry perspective, SGST should have an upper hand in terms of determining the floor limits. An average compensation rate is between 15-20 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So even if you cut it at midpoint at about 25 lakhs, 25 lakhs seems fair enough in terms of a floor rate.
What about your take?
So I won't go there. What is the right rate? There can always be a debate, and there will be both aspects. But what Mr. Upinder Gupta touched upon was that they are planning to introduce compounding. And that would give an option for the dealers with a lower rate to go in for compounding and pay a fixed tax without going into the invoice-based tax. Not an ideal way to conduct a GST credit-based mechanism, but that's an option which they are going to provide. And then the threshold the main reason why the threshold is being debated is that the lower turnover dealers shouldn't have a problem in terms of, there shouldn't be a compliance cost in terms of doing business.
Absolutely.
So whether it's 25 lakhs or 10 lakhs, so 25 lakhs appears to be a good basis which should be taken. 10 lakhs appears to be too low today. But again, various states and our country is such a diverse country where the present thresholds are very different.
Some of the states are very low.
Northeast 25 lakhs could remain too high.
Too high.
Too high.
Yes.
Too high.
So I think they might ultimately, I don't know, there is a talk that to have 2 thresholds for certain states.
Certain states.
That I saw in the newspaper. But I don't know how it will work. But you know, in this country, I would like to make one observation, slightly philosophically. It's like this. See, we have the SSI small scale sectors, 1.5 crores below you don't have to pay. But you know, when we, from CVEC, we made a survey, a big chunk of people below 1.5 crore, they are paying duty. You know why? A small person doesn't want to remain small all the time. He also wants to become big. And if he has to become big, he has to sell his goods with credit, with the invoice credit. With that, without that, he will not get any of the big buyers from him. So the big chunk of them are already paying tax, although they are below 1.5 crore. So same thing will happen. So I will go with both of them. The 25 lakhs is the ideal. We should not go below it. We should not go above it also. And compounding also will take care of the rest of the thing. I suppose it would be around 60 or 70 lakhs.
So, I mean, here comes the good news that 25 lakhs is an ideal threshold for exemption. Most of the experts feel so, and whether our finance minister, either at the center level or the state level, they really feel so or not, that we will get to know about it much later. So, another very vital question before we wrap up the whole debate is that how realistic is this target of 1st April 2016, which the Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has set for himself?
I have a point from the place where Mr. Majumder commented. One is that whatever is going to come in public domain, let us take the date of 1st April 2015, it comes into public domain. Do you think that 12 months of interaction, those parallel meetings, and for refining whatever is coming out in public domain, is it enough? Is the question that needs to be answered. We cannot expect anything to come into public domain before April because the Constitution Amendment Bill first has to be passed.
Correct.
So, it's a tightrope walk even with 1st April 2016.
That itself will take 9 months, you know, the 50% of the states ratifying the bill.
No. You see, that will, sorry, I'll just say that. It will not take, because it will be like, you know, CPM, critical path management. Because once the GST model law is there, so Parliament Center will place the CGST Act in the Parliament, and simultaneously all the 29 states.
No, first the Constitution Bill itself, sir, it has to be ratified by 50% of the states.
The Constitutional Amendment
Bill.
certain states to join within 1 year of.
Yes, that does. But having decided on that, once we have, as I said, in any joint venture or partnership, once you have agreement, nothing will stand in the way. And here the deadline has come from no other person than the Prime Minister of India, who believes in getting things done. So, keeping that in mind, I am saying that it is feasible.
Note, joint ventures and politics are a little different.
I know, but but already we are seeing the sign. I mean, 2 months back, I would have thought that the government will not be able to place a constitutional amendment bill, but they did. And Mr. Jaitley had said in 45 days budget that I will place it in winter session. He did it. So that is the. But then my problem is another. My problem. 1 minute, I'll just say. My problem is elsewhere. I mean, there is only I have some hiccup. That is the technology. Whether the technology will be prepared. One thing I'm sure, you can't have GST without the solid, robust IT technology, for which the GST net has been formed in August 2012 or July 2012. They are in position, office is there, but they have to work very hard to get everything done. And I think the vendors and all those things, a lot of work is there on that front. Our officers will do it. Again, in a lighter vein, may I say, I read it in a book, should be a correct statement. When Mrs. Gandhi decided that she will have bank nationalization, I'm told she just invited the concerned secretary and told that I want bank nationalization by next Monday. And it was a Saturday. And she got it done. So if there's a political will, it can be done. Brokers will do it. They will definitely do it. But how they do it, all depend on all the points are being taken care of. Without taking care of these points, it will be a hodgepodge thing. So that's why the need to have more interaction with the trade
there
industry.
is a bundle of concerns. So your concern is IT.
Right.
You know, whether all the states will be fully IT enabled.
Moreover,
take care of
sorry, one point I missed. Apart from the GST net being ready, our different states are at different stages of IT ability.
Right.
So you have to do a lot of hand-holding with the states, like your Karnataka, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Delhi, they're quite advanced. There are other states, northeastern states, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and now they'll have to talk to each other. So they had to be at some par. So for that, you have to bring them up to that level. That is also another area of concern.
So IT is one aspect. So we have about 14 months, as Mr. Sridhar suggested, and now we have to look at it whether it is adequate enough really, you know, that all the draft legislation, the rules, the registration procedure, refund procedures, enough to seek the comments of the industry, the taxpayers ultimately, because again, I guess the industry is looking forward to, with the GST, probably there is going to be a structural change in the attitude of the administration, the tax administration, game changer in terms of giving more prominence and a space to taxpayer services. And Mr. Sapra will have something to add to this, sir, I guess.
No, I was just wanting to conclude by saying that I think both the center and state appear to be really committed to get the GST by 1st April 2016. If there's a lot of hard work we see going on, we would want the industry to be involved in the deliberations and given adequate time to really transit their own IT setups, their own mechanisms to comply with the GST. So right now we should assume that with those efforts, 1st April 2016 would be realistic. But I think the government would take care, as in things evolve, there would be more clarity as we go forward.
So the critical takeaways from this debate, I guess, sir, maybe you can join me in rather giving the substance to it. One is that the 2016, of course, it's a debatable how realistic is this target, but if it is realistic and the government is serious about it, first let's congratulate the government that they are really, you know, pushing the GST cart to a level that it is finally, we are, you know, the nation is able to see the rollout of the GST by 1st April 2016. Number two is that there are a lot of issues related to credit chain. For instance, petroleum is out. Petroleum is a major source of energy for the industry, and once it is out, that means credit chain itself is broken. So how that is going to be taken care of? There has to be a different set of rules for that. That is, so there is a basket of unfinished tasks which has to be taken care of by the center and the states both. And then, of course, apart from that, the RNR, the exemption, you know, these are the broader issues which are not decided. The place of supply rules, of course, that has been, I was told that it has been already finalized and approved. So probably in the Ministry of Finance is going to put up this with the Finance Minister. Once it is okayed, probably it will be available for the comments from the public. And the GST model legislation, which probably will be made available for the industry to comment. So there are half a dozen rules which the industry is looking forward to and participate in that, because so far the interaction has been more with the center and the states, and the taxpayers are still feeling a little alienated, and they have not been invited to participate in the deliberations in finalizing most of the things. But I guess because since several states are involved in the procedures, I was also told the registration, the refund, the return, etc., all these business processes have been almost concretized by between the center and the states, and probably they are going to be made available for public comments. So let us hope and wish good luck to the present government to be successful in rolling out the GST, and we are able to achieve the timeline of 1st April 2016. Yes, sir.
One particular takeaway from this discussion where we all of us agree, and it must be given utmost importance, which you have touched already, that whatever documents are there before they are finalized, not after finalizing, before they are finalizing, it must be put in the public domain right now without any delay. Whatever, like in a place of supply rules, they don't have to wait for it to be approved by Finance Minister. Rather, I would like that Finance Minister, before he gives his approval, he hears what the trade in industry has to say.
I guess their idea is that Finance Minister will be giving the approval only for the draft part of it.
No, I mean that already it has gone through him only to the import committee. So now they should immediately bring, starting with place of supply rules, whatever thing is finalized, registration, refund, put it in the public domain as early as possible. As Mr. Sridhar said, there's so much of time is needed for industry to interact and give their views. So time cannot be wasted on that. I would say that today we are in January, almost the third week of January, almost the end of January. Before the budget session starts, all the documents should be put in the public domain.
So let us hope that the sirs wishes and the industry wishes, of course all of us wish so, that it is made available for the public comment, and hopefully it will be done before the budget. So thanking you all, sir, for this wonderful debate. And if the netizens and the viewers of this program, they have any suggestions, they can email us at editor@TIOL.in. Thanking you all.
Thank you, Shailendra. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.